All right. What's happening, guys and girls? Welcome to the Matrix Success Network Client Mastermind here. If at all possible, guys, you turn your cameras on. I'd really appreciate it to see your glowing faces. It's always good to look back at some eyeballs looking back at me here. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. We had an amazing week up in Toronto with Bob and about 300 other consultants from all over the world. It's really just a special time. We go up there. We always sharpen the sword and just get to the next level of awareness. And taking a week like that is something I highly recommend if you ever get a chance to do it, because it just really quantum leaps everything. And some of the things we were talking about, we got really deep. We had a millionaires inner circle with Bob and like 10 of us, and he got really deep into habits and paradigms and what makes people successful and things that he does. And I want to start tonight by digging into the common denominator of success. This is an article that we can get to, guys. Matt, is this in the MMA back office anywhere? We should, can you write a note to have Lisa upload all of the articles? The articles that we have, the additional stuff? We should put that in the MMA so everybody can partake in it. I think it'll really help. So the common denominator of success, this article is really, really written really well. And it just highlights, exactly why successful people are successful. And the crux of this thing, or the main part of it, it says the common denominator of success is the secret of success of every person who has ever been successful lies in the fact that they form the habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. Right? Think about that one. That people that are successful, they form habits out of doing the things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. And on the last webinar, we came up with a whole list of things like getting up early, exercising, eating the right foods, drinking water instead of soda, public speaking, Facebook Lives, right? So that there's things, it's not that I love doing everything I do, it's that I do them anyway because I want to get to a certain goal. I think people confuse that successful people, they must love doing that. You must love public speaking, I happen to do love public speaking, but I didn't. At first I didn't. I was crapping my pants like everybody else, So it's a learned behavior, but I did it anyway, The first time I went live on Facebook, I wasn't freaked out by it, but it wasn't something I wanted to do either. I didn't want to do it. I just knew that I needed to do it in order to build my brand and my message and to get in harmony with the law of cause and effect. So we spent some time on the last webinar. I want you guys to do the same thing. Think about what you're doing for work, for business, your goals, what you're trying to do. What are some things that you guys can think of that you should do but you don't like to do? Or maybe things that you're actually doing that you don't like to do. What are some things like that?
I'll start making calls every day to build my business. So not necessarily something I love to do, but I know it's just part of the process, something I have to do to get where I want to be.
That's a perfect, more than likely you don't like calling at all.
Yeah.
If you had $100 million, would you still be doing that?
No.
That's a good litmus test, by the way. If you want to figure out if you like doing something or not, ask yourself that question. If I had $100 million, would I still be doing this? Now, for me, I actually like sales calls. I would still be doing them. I think it's a challenge. I think it's a chess game. I love selling. And I've gotten really good at it. So it's like a chess game, But most people don't, or they have some paradigms around it, or it might be kind of a neutral thing. But yeah, cold calling strangers. Most people, I don't do that. I don't call strangers. So I don't do any cold calling. These are all people that are attracting. We have attraction methods. We get people to come to us, which is a whole different ball game because at least on some level they want what you have. Mm-hmm. So there's a big difference between prospecting and attracting, which we can actually work on that if you want. But that's a good example. Now the end result is the sale. What is it that you do, Kathy, for work?
Actually, I'm do coaching, life mastery consultant. I'm in the process of going through the PGI program right now, thinking into results. And so I'm looking to move to corporate clients versus just one-on-one individuals.
Gotcha. Yeah, so doing that cold calling is something you don't like to do, but you know that it's going to lead to the end result. So that's a good example. Who else has examples of something that you're doing that you don't like to do, but you do it anyway?
I hate doing bills and loading invoices and receipts for tax purposes, but I do it because it's going to be a tax write-off.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an incentive, but I just hate that administrative work. I'll do other administrative work before that.
So that's actually a really good example. Now, in that example, what I would suggest that you do is sooner rather than later is to get an assistant. Right? You're developing a coaching business, you have your network marketing business, you have multiple businesses, and I know that you want to get into real estate. Sooner than later, you should think about getting a part-time or a virtual assistant. Because when you're doing that, you're doing like a $10 to $15 an hour item task. Mm-hmm. Now, we all have paradigms. I know I did. Before the first time I hired an assistant, I had a paradigm around, well, I can just do it. It's easier to just do it myself. Now, my thinking is if I can't earn $1,000 an hour, I'm not doing it. I've shifted my awareness around that. Now, that's not to say that every single hour of every single day I'm earning $1,000 an hour, but more often than not, that is becoming the case. Right? Like I coach with a real estate team 1 hour a week, and it averages out to $2,000 an hour. Right? That's what I love to do. I love to coach and teach and train. Sales calls for me, I love to do it, but even that, because it's not really a good use of my time, we're building a sales team. Like eventually I won't be doing sales calls. And that's actually something I love to do. I'll be developing programs, and I will be teaching and speaking and just doing that. Same with Maddie. We're both going to be, you won't see us doing some of the stuff we do now, because ultimately our best assets and talents are around developing programs and then being on stage and teaching and speaking and stuff like this, right? This is the stuff I love to do, when we're working on these coaching calls. So that's a really good one. So if you don't like to do it, how long are you going to do it for? Right? If you really want to think about it, if I was you, I would set a goal of getting an assistant, and by when?
It's November 30th, once the money comes in from October.
Okay.
That's hopefully because something has to roll.
Yeah. Well, hope is not a strategy, so. But that's good. I mean, I promise you, whether it's a virtual assistant, a part-time assistant, or an intern, somebody for $10 an hour, $15 an hour, you will find so many things that you can have them do that you are not making money at, that you will be like, oh my God, like I have been bleeding money doing this stuff myself.
Oh, I got a list. I'm willing to let go. I just need some money to come in to pay them.
Gotcha.
I'm excited.
You can form some strategies around that too. If it's the right person, if it's a good fit and they can grow with you, you might say, listen, we're going to grow this business together, and I'm going to give you a piece of it. Right? So you have to find the right person, but we can attract what we want. You might set up a scenario like that where they make $5 an hour, but they're helping you out. They're helping really ramp the business up so that 4 weeks later, you can be on full-on sales mode. So you can negotiate with people and paint pictures and scenarios. And ultimately, like Maddie was saying on the last webinar, whatever you believe you can create is what you're going to create. Right? And that's all of us. The whole world, at least in the physical plane, was created by belief. Steve Jobs believed he could create $1 trillion company, so he did. I believe I can create a multi-billion-dollar company, so I'm going to. I'm in the process of it, right? Now, years ago, I didn't believe that. It wasn't even in my mind to think to do that. So it's all levels of awareness. But whatever you believe you can do is exactly what you're going to do. You were born a creator, just like God, just like universal consciousness. We have the same mechanism. We have a consciousness. We have a body, and we have an instrument of the mind that we can put stuff into motion and create, right? So belief is really everything when it comes to humans in our existence here. I kind of got off track there, but what are some other things that you guys do or you should do, but you're not doing?
Going to the gym.
Going to the gym. I was waiting for that one. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people that are there don't necessarily love it. I happen to love going to the gym, but not every single day. There's days when I'm like, man, I do not want to go to the gym. I just want to stay in bed. But usually I drag myself up and make it there. Sometimes my paradigm wins, but usually I do. But that's a perfect example. Most people don't love that, and they would much rather be doing something else. But they want the results. They want the benefits. They want the end result of going to the gym. And actually, I got a couple more things in the common denominator here. Let's see. It says here, it says, why are successful people able to do the things they don't like to do while failures are not? And the reason is because successful people have a purpose strong enough to make them form the habit of doing things they don't like to do in order to accomplish the purpose they want to accomplish. Right? Just looking at some of the other things in here. Here's a good paragraph too. We said this on the last one too. It says it isn't a sufficiently strong enough purpose to make you form the habit of doing the things you don't like to do, for the very simple reason that it's easier to adjust our lives to the hardships of a poor living. Right? So it's easier to adjust to the hardships of a poor living than it is to adjust ourselves to the hardships of making a better one. Do you notice how it says hardships either way? When we're not living life on our terms, we're not able to travel the world and take 6 months off with our family and go on vacation. We're not able to just go to the grocery store and buy every single thing that we want that's healthy because it costs too much because it's organic. You know, when we're not able to have a good work-life ratio, we're sacrificing, but in the wrong direction. So either way, it's a hardship, but it's just a paradigm. It's easier to just come home and turn the TV on than it is to come home and work your second or third business. Now, the results are going to be drastically different. And then 10 years from now, you'll have a whole different, viewpoint or vantage point of what the results are. It's a cause and effect, right? Now it says here, if you doubt me, just think of all the things that you're willing to do, all the things you're willing to go without in order to avoid doing the things you don't like to do. Right? Think of all the things you're willing to go without in order to avoid doing the things you don't like to do. Is anybody here going on one vacation a month?
I generally go on one vacation a month, but it's really only because I can work part of the time. Like what I do is by Zoom and phone call.
No, that's a perfect example. Same here. We generally do on one vacation. A lot of times, like when we went to Toronto, to me that was not work. That was a vacation. I got to hang out with my friends from like 30-something countries. So what you've done over a period of time is designed a life. Mm-hmm. Now, you would have had to have done certain things for a period of time that you might not have liked to do in order to be in the position that you're in now. Mm-hmm. So what did you do before this?
I was in financial services for 32 years. And I left. I was in an executive position. I left last November, but I was leading sales teams. So my compensation was based on performance results. And I just optimized my team to the point where they gave me 3 teams. So I tripled my income the last 24 months. So I was able to save enough so I could get started on something new.
That's good that they don't know you're going to leave, huh?
Well, no, I left last November.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so I left last November, got my certification, and just decided, I wanted some independence. I wanted to do something different. I was traveling every week from DC to LA because my teams were all on the West Coast. So, I didn't have a life. I worked, pretty much 24/7. And I earned a lot of money, but I didn't have a life. And to me, that was not a good trade-off.
Yeah. So you're actually proving the point of this common denominator of success, but on the opposite side of the deal, right? Successful people form habits of doing what other unsuccessful people won't do. Most people won't leave their job, especially if they're getting paid well. They'll just stay comfortable. This is exactly what this says, right? We make ourselves, it's easier to adjust to the hardships of a poor living. Now, poor doesn't have to mean financial. It could mean no time for yourself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my health was,
right.
Yeah.
But you're working 80 hours a week and no quality of life. So poor doesn't necessarily mean financial. So what you did, though, is you went to the other side of the equation and punching through terror barriers and changing your environment, changing your results, because you're doing the things that most people won't do. You're forming a habit of doing the things that most people won't do. So it's a perfect example in the positive direction. And now your quality of life is much better. So I do the same thing. When I go to the Caymans or Hawaii, wherever I go, I have my laptop and I do work.
Mm-hmm.
But what does my work consist of? Like right now I'm working. I mean, I love this. Like I'm here in my office, the lake's right there. I'm in my sweatpants. Like I got a tea right here, So this is me working. So when you do things that you love, there is really no such thing as work or vacation. It's just living. That makes sense, guys? Now, most of you guys know my journey and the fact that I'm shutting down my construction company. It's been a 2-year transition plan. It's not been easy. So I've been building businesses. So I've worked 80, 100 hours a week for the last 2 years, transitioning things in order to build this life that we're talking about, like you're saying, so I can just kind of go anywhere in the world and run my businesses and enjoy. So you're actually a really good example of what the common denominator of success is saying.
And that your company's opinion and plan completely backfired and blew up in their face. By rewarding you and putting you to work to do even more for the company, it ended up kind of kicking them because you got all that more work, and then suddenly now you're gone, and now they've got to figure out how to replace you. So it's interesting on their end. They had this employee mindset thinking, and you escaped it and kind of left them wondering.
Well, you know what they count on? They count on the fact that most people don't have options, especially
exactly.
When people start making 6 and 7 figures as an employee. It becomes very hard to replace that job somewhere, especially if you have tenure in a company. Usually, when you go to another company, it can be difficult, and they know that. So they don't. Kathy is not the normal situation. Normally, that person would stay there, just take it and grind it out, and probably have stress and anxiety and nervous breakdowns and a kind of a crappy quality of life because they're not spending time with their family. So they kind of count on that fact.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that, the biggest thing is, and really, Brian, I would love to hear from you on this, how you bust through your paradigms. I'm in the process of continuing to become aware when I'm living, from at the level of fact or circumstance. And is there a way that you have taught yourself to almost get outside of your own head and say, hey, wait a minute, that's a paradigm I need to keep pressing forward, in building your own businesses?
Sure. I want to see if my amazing offspring, man, what would you say to that?
Sorry, Kathy, can you repeat one more time?
Yeah, I was just saying that, as I've ventured out on my own, there are certain things that an awareness I get when I'm coming up to what you guys call that terror barrier, what Bob calls the terror barrier, where, I realize it and then I say, oh my gosh, if I really want to accomplish this, I just have to keep going. I can't. It's like the story of, I think Sandy or Bob tells about when she hit send to tell all her clients that she was going to be leaving. And you come up to that fear. Is there an awareness that you get or a feeling that you get as a trigger to say, okay, I know I'm here at the terror barrier. It's time to just keep going. Like when you have a paradigm that comes up for you, how do you handle that?
So the first thing I want to ask you is, if you wrote this question down on a piece of paper, how should I handle this feeling when I'm going towards something I want to be doing, but I get this feeling, how can I handle this? what would you maybe coach? Because you said you have coaching clients?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What would you maybe tell them?
So I guess reversing the roles, one of the things that I tell them is to focus on their vision. So part of my work is really getting very specific and detailed on a vision and living from the vision, coming from the dream, so that you're in that vibrational energy to move you forward. So connecting back to the dream is one of the exercises that I do with my clients.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would say, doing that and just knowing that every time you set a new goal for yourself, that process never goes away. You kind of just become more familiar with it, right? So I'll tell you a story. My dad and I like to do events, right? And I love public speaking, right? And I tell myself, and my goal is to become a world-renowned public speaker. And sometimes we'll run events, and right before I'm about to speak, I'll be like, I think you've got it. You can do it. You can just take the whole event. I don't have to do anything. Thank you. And it's your paradigm getting in your way, right? Because I'd like to do this, right? I like to make things a game. And so if you take your Mr. Paradigm, right? And this is Kathy, millionaire Kathy. Okay. You don't want to say future you, because you are millionaire Kathy, right? You just need to bring that to the surface, right? So this is your paradigm. This is the old Kathy, and this is millionaire Kathy. And I kind of had this conversation. I play it, right? Just to kind of play it out, right? Write the question down on paper, play the scenario out, right? Maybe your paradigm saying, you don't really need to do this. You don't really need the money. You don't really need the vacation, right? And then millionaire Kathy is like, what would she say? What would millionaire Kathy say? Well, she'd say, push through. She'd say, buckle up, Kathy, let's go, right? It's no big deal. This is who you're becoming. This is the woman that you're stepping into. This is you. You just need to embrace this and feel good about it. Does that make sense? So you need to, I think the most important thing, guys, is what my dad and I are trying to do is not be the source that you come and we have all the answers for you, right? This is not about teaching you anything that you don't already know, right? It's really about bringing everything that you do know and all the tools that you have inside of you out to the surface so that you can coach yourself. And you can be self-motivating, and you can understand the mental toolbox that you were born with, and really step into that. So does that make sense, Kathy? That's something that I use. I'm always like, okay, what would millionaire Maddie do right now?
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you. To do it.
I love that. It's so much, sometimes when we coach ourselves, it's so much, just have to be more aware that we also have to coach ourselves. So thank you. I love that. Thank you.
I hope that was helpful.
Yep, it was.
What Maddie did there is all she did was change your perception.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember how Bob talks about this? Now anybody here can do that. What happens is we get blind spots, and since we're in our own bodies, we get kind of tunnel visions on the problem. And if you just stop for a minute, when you said how do you get outside yourself, it's just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Change your perception. Okay, how would Bob Proctor look at this?
Mm-hmm.
How would Sandy look at this? Pick somebody that you resonate with or relate to that's at a higher level of awareness, and just ask yourself that question. This is how you change your perception, by the way. You literally say, like I said in network marketing, I say, well, what would Eric Worre do? Well, he would promote, he would lead, he would build it, right? So that's what I did. Okay, then you do the thing that the answer comes up. The answer will come, by the way. And same thing. And what would Sandy have done? Well, she'd just buckle up and hit send. Even if she's puking, she'd hit send anyway.
That's right.
What else did she do? What else did Sandy do? She called somebody. She called Bob.
She called Bob. I don't remember that part.
Yeah, she called Bob. She said, I don't know what to do. Oh my God. He's like, hit send, damn it.
Press send. Press send.
So you can do that too. You know what I mean? If you're at that point, like, call somebody that you trust that has your back, that's at a higher level of awareness, that's not going to let you off the hook. So accountability will do it too. Because the reality here is that that feeling's never going to go away. You're going to hit it. That's what the terror berry is. When you're about to do something that's going to change, it's an XY vibration, just causes the body to do strange stuff. Now, what you're calling anxiety, other people call excitement. That's another thing that everybody here wants to understand. If you get anxious, what you're calling anxiety, I might look at that same exact feeling and be like, "Woo, this is exciting." Does that make sense? So even that is a perception. And when you get that feeling, it means you're about to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the only time we get that is that when we're going to do something that we're not comfortable doing because we're growing towards our goal. But I love what Maddie did. I'm glad she did that. I do that all the time, even with people that aren't coaches. Well, if you were coaching yourself, if you were talking to your son or daughter, and they came to you with this exact same question, what would you say? They instantly say, oh, if it was my son, I would go, boom, I would say this, do this, blah, blah. Okay. That's exactly what you need to do. So what all Maddie did was shift your perceptions. That was really good. So one of the other things here in this article guide, common denominator success, it goes to some success habits. It says every single qualification for success is acquired through habit. I love this line right here, guys. It says people form habits and habits form futures. Think about that one for a second. People form habits and habits form futures. Smoking is a habit, and your future will be lung cancer and death. Right? People form habits. Habits form futures. Eating healthy, drinking water is a habit. Probably going to form a very healthy body 60, 70, 80 years in. Investing, building businesses, these are all habits that are going to have a future effect. So people form habits. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between smoking and wealth building. They're just habits. So that's where the conscious awareness comes in, right? And that's what we're working with here. It says, if you do not deliberately form good habits, then unconsciously you will form bad ones. Who here can tell me why that is? If you're not consciously forming good habits, why is it default to bad habits?
Because usually they're easier. They're more comfortable. They're more readily available, depending on if it's food or if it's inactivity or...
That's part of it. Yeah, being going towards what's comfortable is definitely a paradigm. Sure, that's part of it.
Everyone else's agenda and your environment.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times they're getting pulled around by other people's agenda, yeah. But think about this as the root cause. If you're not deliberately forming good habits, then unconsciously you will form bad ones.
Paradigm taken back over.
Well, the paradigm is what causes the habits. The paradigm is a mental set of programs that cause habits, that cause our physical, that create our physical actions. So a habit is a result of a paradigm, right?
Trying to remember what the rule is, but it's the if there's an up, there's a down.
Yes, exactly. It's the law of polarity.
Thank you.
There's a universal law of polarity. It's called the law of opposites. Right?
If you don't leave, you have to stay. There's no...
If you're not forming good habits, then the only thing left is bad habits. There's no such thing as like neutral habits.
Well,
What's that?
I would say, and you would say this too, is just habits that are not serving you and where you want to go, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say there's no such thing as good or bad habits. It's just whether or not you like the results of your habits.
Right.
Smoking's not a bad habit unless if you desire to die. There's no such thing as good or bad. It's all perception. So there's no such thing as good or bad paradigms either. There's only conscious awareness and results and relativity, right? Conscious awareness, results, and relativity. There's no such thing as big or small. There's just relativity. $1 million is not big or small. It's just $1 million. If you put $1 million in front of a squirrel and you put $10 in front of a squirrel, it wouldn't know the difference. So it's a man-made conscious awareness. So there's only relativity. So all we're really concerned with here, guys, is your results and do they serve you, and do you want to change them? Doesn't mean they're good or bad. But that, John, you hit it right on the head. It's a law of it's a universal law that states if you're not consciously forming habits that serve you, then you are unconsciously forming habits that do not serve you. There's no such thing as no habit, like a vacuum of habits. There's no such thing as steady state. There's nothing that stops. Nothing is at rest ever.
Growing or dying.
What's that?
Growing or dying.
Growing and dying, yep. Exactly, so that's exactly it. So what it has here, guys, is the success habit for any area of achievement can be divided into 4 main groups. And this is no matter what you guys are doing. It doesn't matter if you're in sales of some sort or network marketing, have a business, or even an employee. Now, these four areas need to be measured. It's your contacting habits, your calling habits, your persuading habits, and your working habits. Now, contacting habits, you might think, well, you know, I'm an employee or whatever, like, what do I need to contact you before? Well, again, if you want to get ahead in life, more than likely you're going to have to develop something that's your own. It's very rare that somebody gets everything they want out of life from the employee, you know, employee status alone. I know people that have been employees and done very well, and then invested in real estate and then retired with a pile of real estate. But it's usually the employee part is usually the stepping stone part, and then it needs to be translated into other forms of wealth that are going to serve you. So contacting habits would relate to just about anything we do in the form of getting the word out. Now, this could be Facebook Lives. It's not necessarily picking up a phone and calling somebody. It's putting energy out in branding and marketing. Calling habits, I think, really pretty much do apply towards sales, like physically calling somebody. So that one is one that's subjective. But persuading habits is absolutely something that everybody needs to master. Whether you're in direct sales or selling your fellow employees or your boss on an idea or your spouse, your kids, like learning how to persuade human beings is a seven-figure superpower. Mm-hmm. And it's something that can be learned.
Hey, Dad?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to drop guys, we're having a free sales webinar training on the 25th. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat. If you're in any kind of sales, it'd be beneficial for you to attend that.
Yeah, good job there, Offspring. Yeah, the sales training we're doing, we're going to be teaching how to sell to paradigms. And I'll give you an example. So who here is in, just raise your hand, who here is in any form of sales? Looks like everybody. So let me ask you guys this. How do you neutralize the conscious mind of your prospects?
You get on the same side of the
Not you. Hey, stop it. Now I'm highlighting a question here because the question I just asked you is the absolute key to selling at like the top 1%.
The comfort level.
If you don't know how to neutralize your prospect's mind, you're going to be selling only on the law of averages, which is, it's very hard to succeed at a high level. Bill, what did you say?
I was saying you got to get yourself to a comfort level with a conversation or something that you can relate to bring them to the same kind of vibration you want to be in.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. So how do we do that, though?
I think laughter, like get them excited, or maybe some sort of fear.
Right on the money.
And guess what? Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, you're right on the head. There's only a few ways to neutralize somebody's conscious mind so that their paradigms won't kick in. People are programmed to be resistant. They're programmed to say no. We're all programmed to say no. I broke that paradigm a long time ago, probably in the opposite direction. I should probably say no to more things. But we're programmed to say no. So the people that you're going to be prospecting or reaching out to, they're programmed to say no, and they don't even know why they're saying it anymore. It's just a program. It's a paradigm. It's a program in their mind. So the ways to neutralize the mind are through humor, through shock, through fascination, right? And the ways to do that are usually stories. And if you watch anything that Bob ever does, you'll see that he is a master of this. I actually did a Facebook Live on my main page, was it yesterday? And I went through and I actually used this, then I explained it. So yeah, Bill, you saw that. Was that on my main page? Yeah, you guys should check that out. I literally used all of these methods, but then I explained what I just did to get people to sign up for our webinar. We had a bunch of people sign up for the webinar. Even when I told them that this is what I was doing. Now, when I told them the process of how to neutralize the conscious mind, that was fascination. People lean in. It's like, I'm in sales. I got to learn how to do this shit. So then now I get their attention because it was fascination. I said 95% of selling is mindset. It's only 5% skill set. So that's a statistic. That's fascination. It causes people to stop. It's a pattern interrupt. What did he just say? And of course I repeated it. Let me repeat that again, guys. 95% of selling is mindset. It's 5% skill set. Right? And then, so I gave examples. I think at the beginning of I can't remember if at the beginning if I told the story of the fly or not, but I told a story on something, and I highlighted that, right? And then I did something for humor, and then when I could feel that, that would make somebody laugh, I said, by the way, guys, we're having a webinar, blah, blah, blah. 95% is mindset. You should check it out. It's free. So neutralize the mind, drop in the idea of the sale. And then at the end, like I said, I explained all this stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, I think it was pretty good as far as explaining this. And we're going to go over that in the webinar too. So I think Maddie posted that in the chat. But yeah, you hit it right on the head, Dean. It's fascination, humor, or shock. In the insurance world, a lot of times they use shock. They give statistics about what happens if you pass away to your family. Have you ever thought about what's going to happen to your wife and your cute little 3-year-old daughter? And they use all that, right? They use fear. So fear will do it too. And I don't like to use fear too much, but here and there we do, because my ultimate goal is to help somebody. And I can't help them unless they're a client, and they can't become a client unless they buy. So I will highlight, I'll go down the road sometimes, and let's just go down the road of 10, 20, 30, 40 years. If not this, what is your master plan? Because you told me you wanted to get from 5,000 to 50,000 a month. So if not this, what is your plan? And they won't be able to answer it. So how can you get anywhere without a plan? Trying to solve a problem with the same level of awareness that created the problem is the definition of insanity. Right? So for those of you that are selling, it's really, really, you're going to have a good time on this webinar. We're going to have fun. So these habits are what you want to think of. Contacting habits, calling habits, persuasion habits, selling, right? Got to get really good at selling. And then working habits, right? And even if you're an employee, you should be cognizant of your working habits. Because if you're an employee and you also have your own business on the side, well, if you're screwing off at work for 8 hours, you're probably going to screw off at home too. It's a paradigm. Your subconscious mind doesn't know if you're at a work for somebody else or working for yourself. And it's also the law of cause and effect too, and compensation. If you're an employee, you want to be the best damn employee on the face of the planet. And it has nothing to do with the pay. It has nothing to do with what you're going to get. It has to do with integrity and putting a cause out and being the best version of yourself for yourself. Now, the effect will probably be increased pay. But if it's not, you'll raise your value so high that somebody else will see it and make you an offer anyway. So for those of you that have jobs, it's like you want to analyze your work habits. If you work 8 to 5, are you there working at 8 o'clock? Or are you getting in at 8 o'clock? Getting a coffee, strolling around, chit-chatting with some people, and not really sitting down until 8:30. I know I used to do that at General Electric. I'm highlighting my own habits back then, by the way. It was a country club, and I didn't know any of this material, and I did not have good work habits. I did okay, but knowing what I know now, I would have done a lot better. So you want to monitor this stuff and make sure that you're doing what you're getting paid for, because people are paying you, and a job is not a right, it's a privilege, right? So you want to work on your working habits. So contacting, calling, persuading, and working habits. So guys, I would suggest that you get this common denominator of success. And Maddie, I'm going to have her, Elisa, put all of these articles somewhere in the units of the back office in the MMA, so you guys can get to them. Kathy, I think I want you to work for our sales team. So if you're interested, you should contact me.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you. In fact, I was looking at your website and
that seed up there.
What's that?
I said I'm planting that seed.
I know. I'm a former military spouse. I saw your website, and so I have some questions around that. If we could talk sometime, that would be great.
Yeah, let me put my number in the chat here real quick. You can just do me a favor, shoot me a text and text me your information. Cool. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap it up, or anything you want to chit-chat about, the common denominators of success, or anything in general? Remember, guys, whatever businesses you're building, you can come here and ask just general questions too towards business development or anything you're trying to work on, and we can work on this stuff together. Does anybody got any questions before we wrap up?
I actually have a question.
Val, how the hell are you?
Hi, I'm awesome. I'm great. It's always a struggle. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think what I've been struggling with lately, and I just kind of want to throw this out here regarding multiple revenue streams, is sometimes I find that I'm doing so many different things that I want to say worried. Worry is a really strong word.
Well, it's okay to use that if that's what's happening.
You say it's kind of, I get worried like people aren't going to take me seriously because I'm doing a car wash, I'm doing singing, I'm doing network marketing, I'm doing meditations, I'm doing, so I have what I call Val's world. So I think I struggle a little bit with, the Facebook Lives or putting my stuff out there, the branding of these different revenue streams and how that happens.
Yeah, it could help if you want.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
So Val, I struggle with the exact same thing. And for a long time I had it was like I was carrying around, it's like some of you may feel like you have your paradigm in a bag and you're just like carrying around your paradigm with you all the time. And I would always talk about that. I would always talk about, I'm doing too many things and how are people going to know what to buy and how are people going to know how to resonate with me and blah, 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 right? And so what you want to do, and anyone in this situation, what you want to do is you want to get really good at attraction marketing. And that's what my dad and I have been really focusing on this year. But more specifically for myself, right? Because I'm in network marketing and, we have our coaching and consulting business and those are really my two main things. But at any point in my life, if I decided to, do anything, my audience wouldn't know any different, right? So I just focus on bringing in people who will resonate with who I am and attracting people who resonate with who I am. And then once I take that conversation online to offline, I can then choose how I want to help them and what bucket they sort of fit in. So I could help them the most, right? So I've built this belief that, people come to me and they get exactly who I am and they just want to be a part of what I'm doing, and however way I can help them is awesome to them. And they're so excited and they can't wait to get started. But when I was thinking it was confusing, people are thinking I'm confusing.
Yeah, I love that.
Easy, people will come to you easily. And, maybe they see your face on a Facebook Live and then they see your car wash and they connect the dots and they join you there. Or, maybe you're talking about, something in network marketing one day and they resonate with that and they send you a DM, you just need to become a billboard to attract your target person.
And I think it's totally breaking down that old paradigm or that mindset that I grew up with. My dad retired from like 35 years of one job, and you grow up that way and you think, oh, I'm going to be in this one job forever and ever. And now 2 years out, being in an entrepreneurial world, all of these swirling, wonderful things of creation are happening. But I think I need to work more on that. This isn't just a 10-minute conversation.
Look, it doesn't have to be
something that like, wow, I got to really, really pull. I love what you're saying, because I have found that, for instance, whether I'm at a gig or whatever, I can talk to one of the people that's in the audience and they say something about for the network marketing or something about meditations, and I can totally feel that. So it's really believing in yourself. Okay, this is good. Okay, thank you.
It's not as complicated as you might think, and you can actually change it tomorrow. I spent months trying to figure this out. Ask my dad, I would talk about it all the time. It was probably super annoying to him. It's super simple if you make it simple. It can be easy if you decide and believe it's going to be easy. That's the bottom line. Lisa?
Yeah, can I tag on to that question? Sure. Actually, because I've been going kind of to the same thing. I worked for 20 years in the garment industry, which ended about 2 years ago. So seeing that it was ending, I got my bartender certification and I was going to get into medical billing, but the culture there is not what I prefer. So in any case, so I'm sticking to bartending, serving, but a lot of private parties. So I'm also talking to people about this business. I work at a few different places. I still work at a doctor's office. One of my friends calls me Lisa everywhere because
So you just want to focus on what you want, right? Exactly what it is that you want. I think my dad's about to bring us all some clarity here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to, I want to use perception, and this is one of your subconscious faculties, because what you guys are talking about when you said, oh, I'm worried about the people won't take me seriously. So what you're talking about is you're in the same company as like Richard Branson, Damon John, myself, Bob Proctor, multiple streams of income. Jeff Bezos, I mean, he was selling books, right? Amazon. They do everything, and the most successful company in the world, right? He's the richest man in the world because he does everything. So the people that you're worried about, what they think about you, are what we call the masses. That's not your target audience. So it's really a matter of perception because of the paradigm of how you grew up. And like Maddie said, we don't need 10 couch sessions on this. You can choose to accept. You can change the perception of what you're seeing and say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. The average millionaire has 7 revenue streams, but the average masses have a job, right? And they're lucky to crack 6 figures. So it's just a matter of your perception value. You're perceiving it like the masses instead of perceiving it like the person, the future version of yourself. Actually, it's you now. It's just time's the only variable.
Yeah.
You just got to shift your perception. Now,
So when you're,
the reason why I brought up the stick man is because when you said I'm worried about what people think, this is what happens. Now we're getting into physics. You're getting into moving energy in the wrong direction with your brain. Worrying is not just a kind of I'm worried. No. You're moving energy with your brain in a negative direction towards creating something you don't want. So if you're worried about that people won't take you seriously, they won't take you seriously. You'll actually cause that to happen. People will feel it. They can feel your vibration is low. They can feel you won't have confidence. They'll feel the fact that they think that they're not going to take you seriously. But if you picture, just like Maddie said, people love me. I'm the helper. I'm the connector. I'm the person that has something for everybody. I'm confident. I have multiple businesses. I'm on the same page as Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk has a Tesla battery, and then they have SpaceX, and then they had PayPal. I mean, those things have nothing to do with each other. He just has a different perception of what he's doing.
And I think I can feel that coming. I think part of my difficulty kind of embracing this is the car washes. I still have to keep that a little close to the vest because it's properties getting done, loans are happening, investments happening. So I haven't been able to sort of toot the horn and to get out there and say, woo, here we go.
Sure.
So, and I know with business, you have to do that. Like you can't be tooting your own horn yet, but it's getting so close and I've waited so long. And I think that's a little part of kind of where I've been a little resistant with.
Sure. So. I think the biggest breakthrough I want to make tonight is for you to realize, and I do mean realize, the fact that we become what we think.
Yeah. That's right.
Really let that one set in. All science and all theology, they've disagreed on almost everything except for that one fact. We literally become what we think.
Yeah.
So if you're entertaining thoughts of worry, you need to stop.
Yeah. And I'm going to go with, I think I'm awesome. I think I am phenomenal, and I've got it. So I do
so now,
feel
listen,
it and believe
we're
that.
not robots, We're not robots. We're going to have thoughts of doubt come in. The key is not to let them stay in.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't have those thoughts. It's that they're microseconds at best.
Yeah, and I think I just didn't have ways of managing. I think Maddie really helped me to sort of think about that. I didn't have ways of managing. I was thinking about putting things in boxes instead of saying, no, the center is here and those boxes are there. Mm-hmm. And the people connect in that way. And I have noticed it a little bit. So when I do specific posts, even on Facebook, you get a certain group of people. And then I go, well, where are those other people? And then I'll put something else up and I get those other people. I go, wow, isn't that interesting?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's what resonates with the outside world in a way, but yet I'm the one that's sort of bringing it to them. So, okay.
Yeah, and it's only your perception. You're just painting a picture in the wrong direction. There's no reality. There's no reality. There's no reality to people thinking what you think they're thinking. That's just your thinking of what they're thinking. The reality is most people are not thinking, to be honest with you. But we paint pictures of what are people going to think. They're not thinking. And they have their own things to worry about. You know, you might get some dumbass hater comment from here today, but I mean, if you're not getting hater comments, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime you put yourself out there, you're going to get some dumbass comments. So you should, even that, when I get a comment like that, I'm like, yeah. Right?
Try being a live performer and having somebody come up to you and telling you that your singing's this or you don't sound like that, or, you know, so yeah, you gotta have thick skin with.
I get it. Yeah, no, you're putting yourself out there for sure, you know.
Well, and it goes back to what you were earlier saying, like, what advice would you give your kids? I remember when my kids were little and they would be going from karate to Boy Scouts and they'd have to change in the car. And they were so concerned about changing in the car. And I would say, nobody's even looking at you. Everybody else has got their own thing. We're driving to the next thing. Just change your pants and do what you need to do. Nobody, and, you know, they got over that fear. But you sort of think like, whoa, everyone's looking at me. Like, what's going on? They're not. They're wrapped up in their own worlds in a way. So
it's the same thing that Maddie said to Kathy. It's easy for you to coach somebody else. It's another thing to take our own advice.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need to do. Is how would you coach yourself? If you were coaching a client and they came to you and said, "Wow, I'm worried about I'm doing all these things. What are people going to think?" What would you say to them? And then you do the exact thing.
I have kind of more of a specific question about Facebook Lives.
Sure.
So if you're kind of have your hand in a couple of different things and you're trying to brand yourself, how would you approach that in a Facebook Live? You know, because you want to try to do them daily. So I'm having a little trouble. Like, who?
I would come up with a schedule and alternate them. I'm in the same boat. And listen, say, you know, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. You can't be a jack of all trades. Well, what if your main thing is to be a billionaire? Most billionaires have hundreds of companies, and that's my deal. So
right.
I am laser focused on being a billionaire, which might mean I have a dozen different things. But I mean, you just weave it in. You don't. Number one, you don't worry about it. That's what we're trying to get across. Right now, you're worried about how to do. You just do it. On Mondays, you talk about one thing, and I mean, you shouldn't be going on and just pitching people anyway. The whole purpose is to go on and give value. Right. Okay. So. Yep. If you're going on pitching people, we got to chat about that because that's not what you want. It's very rarely do I put a call to action that says, most of what I'm calling to action are like free webinars, free seminars. Here and there, I will suggest that if somebody really wants to get unstuck, PM me and we can have a strategy session. I can help you. But that's very rare. Most of the times I'm just giving value, helping people connect with these universal laws of cause and effect and transmutation of energy and just different scenarios and clients. I do a lot of client stories because I get to sell while teaching. So guys, I had a client, they were stuck with this, and I know what I'm saying, like everybody's stuck with. So they're connecting in their mind, wait a minute, he's got a client that he helped. That's the same problem I have. So that's a subconscious sell. Guys, I was working with a client the other day, and they were they were so stuck. They've been trying to lose 20 pounds for the last 20 years. And I taught them a couple of quick little things about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and how we need to shift certain things. And I taught them to release weight instead of lose it, because the subconscious mind, anything you lose, it tries to find. Guys, comment below if that's ever happened. If you've ever had a yo-yo diet and you kind of going up and down and up and down, put a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and if anything, what you did to get over it. So that would be a good example of like a live I would do. And there's selling in there, but it's not like, hey, buy my weight loss formula, you know?
I don't know how to.
So, but you can, I mean, I do this all the time. I just don't have paradigms around it. I mean, we build houses, we have software, we have coaching, we have high ticket, we have low ticket. It's all in there, you know? I work in real estate, network marketing, insurance. We work with depression. We work with how to quit smoking. I mean, we're just, but I just don't have any paradigms around it. That's the difference. I don't worry about it. Does that make sense?
My wife does nightly lives while she cooks dinner, and her target market is other moms that are busy and doing all kinds of stuff. And she just sits and cooks with them and tells them a story or here and there, but it's never about anything specific that she does from a business standpoint, because she's got 2 or 3 things happening. But she's connecting with people and then recognizing and having conversations while she's cooking and showing them some tips. And it's not always like, it's not a cooking channel, but it gives her a chance to connect with people, and then they connect offline, and then they chat about other stuff, and then she can reach out to them when she sees them and stuff. So there's
That's
nothing
awesome.
with her business.
Yeah, she's in her element. She's in her environment doing her thing, and she's probably going to get a very large audience after a while.
She does. She gets, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Brian.
Yellow.
Yeah, before we go on to come back to top of the hour, last week you gave me some information regarding getting to the marketing, the salary I wanted to, the income I wanted to get, and you told me 4 things. I have 3, which is in my mind. I keep forgetting the 4th one, and let me know if I got it right. It was read something in the craft, read personal development, promote, and also prospecting consistently. 20.
Yeah, if you're in a network marketing company.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So you want to form the habit of every single day asking at least one person if they're open to being a customer.
Okay.
Right. You want to ask at least one person if they're open to taking a look at your business.
Okay.
Then you want to study something in the field of network marketing, like Eric Worre's GoPro or Rank Makers or oh, there you go. John's got it. I love it. And then what you're doing in the MMA is the mental part, right? You're doing something every day for your mindset. So that's good. You're here every Monday. So you're doing that part. And then promotions is the highest paying activity you can do inside of network marketing.
Promotions?
Yep.
So like promoting, like promote the events, promoting
everything, promoting the products, promoting the events, promoting the trainings, promoting the big trainings. And making sure you're going first person in the room, first person at the event. There's statistics. There's statistics around company events that say that if you're building a team, every person you get to your annual company event is going to be worth about $1,000 more in income that year. So if you brought 300 people, you can expect about a year later you'll be earning $300,000. And if you get them to a big event like Eric Worre's GoPro, like we're bringing 300 people from our company. Something like that, you can expect $2,000 to $3,000 per person. Those are paradigm shifting events. Promotions is where it's at,
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, guys. Awesome, everybody. Well, I appreciate your time. Hopefully you get some value out of that. I appreciate you showing up. And yeah, I would click on that link that Maddie gave you and join the webinar on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, because it's going to be geared towards sales. And if you know anybody in sales too, feel free to share that with them. It's going to be good. It's a free event, so no charge or anything.
Are you recording?
Yeah, if you register, it's recorded. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And same thing, if you have people, same thing. If they want to catch the recording, they can register.
Okay. Is there a minimum number? Oh, I'm sorry.
What's that?
Is somebody else talking? Is there a minimum number of people we can refer, so it's all free for anyone? Or?
It's all free, yeah. It's just a give back, just giving value. Yep.
Okay.
You can refer 100,000 people.
Okay. Okay.
It's a good thing if you're in network marketing to bring your downline. It's going to be on selling and the art of sales and shifting paradigms and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Awesome. Have a great night. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hopefully, get some value out of that, and we'll see some of you Wednesday and see the rest of you next Monday.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thank
Good
you.
night.